Hello! Hello! Welcome to Wheel Talk. I'm Recappa Sedai. Today we're going to talk about The Eye of the World, Chapter 2, Strangers. I feel like I need a different look for today's episode, so let me just weave a quick mask of mirrors here. So much better. Now we're ready for Chapter 2. Okay. Spoiler-free recap. At the beginning of the chapter, Rand and Mat walk into the Wine Spring Inn, unloading these casks that Tam delivered for Beltane. They see a bunch of men from the village council having a very intense meeting. As they walk by, Master Luhan looks at them kind of funny. Rand's like, why is Master Luhan looking at us that way? Mat kicks Rand, and when they're out of earshot, he's like, I didn't want to talk about it back there, but Master Luhan might be mad at me. I kinda started this rumor about this ghost town. I kinda covered Master Luhan's dogs in flour to make them look like ghost dogs. And then I kinda let the flour ghost dogs loose. They ran back to Master Luhan's house and made a huge mess. Apparently Mistress Luhan was not happy and she chased the dogs and Master Luhan out of the house, and it was this big mess, but it's also kind of funny. Mat and Rand finish unloading all these casks, and finally Mat's like, okay, we can go see the Glee Man, and before he's even done with the sentence, frickin' Ewan Fingar runs into the cellar and is like, there are strangers in Emond's Field. Rand and Mat are like, oh my god, strangers, he saw the Hooded Rider too. Tell us about the stranger. Does he wear a black cloak? Is he on a black horse? And Ewan Fingar's like, whoa, no, that's not what I'm talking about. His cloak is green and she's gorgeous and probably a highborn lady. Mat's like, oh yeah, her. I was gonna tell you about her and then you distracted me. How dare you? Ewan's like, she's awesome. Her name is Moiraine and I love her even if the wisdom doesn't like her. Why doesn't the wisdom like her? Well, Moiraine asked her a question and she kinda called her a child. Mat and Rand are like, oh snap. Clearly the wisdom does not like being called a child. Who does though? She apologized, she didn't mean to call her a child, but Nynaeve was pissed. Rand's like, yeah, well Nynaeve is pissed a lot, so no big deal. Mat makes the mistake of mentioning the Glee Man, and then Ewan gets super into it. Oh my god, is there really a Glee Man, Mat? Is there really a Glee Man? Mat is done with him. He's like, Rand, can you get this kid off of me? So they're outside, Ewan is bugging Mat, and before Rand can say anything about it, he notices a raven watching him. Mat walks up next to him and Mat's like, I'm done with being watched. What's up with this raven? They throw rocks at the raven. The raven moves to the side. The rocks just pass it and the raven stands there like nothing happened. Usually when you throw rocks at a bird, the damn bird flies away. Rand's like, have you ever seen a raven do that? Mat's like, no. Birds don't do that. And then they hear a voice behind them. A vile bird. Something happens and the bird freaks out and flies away. Rand turns around and he sees this stunning woman in a blue cloak. Rand sees Moiraine for the first time. I'm not gonna get choked up. Like no one he's ever seen. He can't put an age to her. She's short, but fierce, graceful. Rand and Mat don't even know what to say to her. Good morning, Lady Moiraine? Moiraine's like, you know my name! As if she has no idea that she's pretty much a celebrity here. Ewan jumps in and he's super annoying. Oh my god, Moiraine, you have to come to my house tonight. My mom is gonna cook. Moiraine's like, oh, cool, maybe, I guess I'll have to see. Even Moiraine doesn't have time for Ewan, but she's nice about it. Moiraine says, I might have some small tasks to do while I'm in Emond's Field. Do you think you could, like, help me? Oh my god, of course we'll help you. She gives Rand a coin and she presses it into his hand. She gives Ewan a coin and she's like, here. And then she gives Mat a coin and she presses it into his hand. Rand's like, no, we'll just help you. You don't have to pay us. And Moiraine says, no, take the coins. I don't expect you to work for free. She's not a douchebag. Consider this a token. Keep it with you so you will remember that you have agreed to come to me when I ask it. There is a bond between us now. Later, we're gonna talk more and you can tell me all about yourselves. And then Rand asks, Lady Moiraine, why are you here? Like, here, out of everywhere. Moraine's like, well, I'm a scholar, I'm interested in old stories, I'm super interested in what happened here, this place that you call the Two Rivers. Rand's like, what could have happened here that would interest someone like you? And Mat's like, this place has always been the Two Rivers, what else would you call it? And then Moiraine says, as the wheel weaves, places have different names, people have different names, things change more than people realize. Rand and Mat are like, okay. I gotta go, but we're gonna talk more later. As she's leaving, this dude who was leaning up against the inn moves and they notice him for the first time. He's wearing this grayish green cloak that kind of changes colors. It's funny to me that they just didn't notice him the whole time and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what the f? Where did he come from? They leave and Ewan says, that was Lan. I think he's a warder. Matt's like, please, as if a warder would ever come to Emond's Field. The boys look at their coins and they're like, oh my god, she gave us a lot of money. This is enough for like a good horse. What the hell kind of tasks does she have for us? And Matt says, I don't care. I'm not gonna spend mine. And Rand's like, yeah, you know what? That sounds right. I'm not going to spend mine either. Moiraine told them not to spend it. Keep it with you as a reminder. But they seem to think that keeping the coins is their idea, which I find interesting. Ewan's like, oh, should I keep mine? Matt and Rand are like, she seems more interested in us. I don't think she cares if you spend your coin. But he's like, I'm going to keep it. And he's all whiny about it. Which, poor kid, go spend your cash. What are you doing? Although, if Moiraine gave me a coin, I would also keep it. Then the boys hear this big commotion and they realize the peddler has come to town, which is awesome. Strangers and a glee man, fireworks and a peddler. It was going to be the best Beltane ever. Aww. It's like the part of a Christmas movie where someone's like, this is gonna be the best Christmas ever. It's just so cute. I love it. The next part of the video is the 13th Depository. I'm gonna dive deep on this chapter and the history leading up to this chapter. I'm not gonna hold back as far as spoilers go. If you haven't read the books, I recommend not watching any further. You don't want to be spoiled and you're gonna be like, what is this person talking about? I pronounce this meeting sealed to the flame. I love saying that. Let's talk about these coins. I have heard people theorize that the coins are ter'angreal. I very much disagree. What we are seeing here is a weave called a finder. There's an Elaine chapter in Knife of Dreams that gives us a very good explanation. With the power already in her, it was a simple matter to weave spirit. The weave she laid on Hark's belt buckle, his boots, his coat and breeches, was somewhat akin to that for the warder bond. It would fade from the clothing and boots in a few weeks, or months at best, but metal would hold a finder forever. In truth, only she would be able to find him. A finder was attuned to the one who wove it. I mean, I read that and I'm like, that's 100% what's going on here. If you disagree, let me know. On a reread of chapter 2, this passage grabs my attention. She smiled, and Rand found himself wondering if there was anything he might do for her. Something that would give him an excuse to stay near her. There's a little part of me that's like, is Moiraine using compulsion on Rand? No, Moiraine would never do that. Right? You know I love Moiraine, but At the end of The Eye of the World, Moiraine talks a little bit more about the finder, and it's not great. I had suspicions from the first, Moiraine said. Suspicions are not proof, though. After I gave you the token, the coin, and made that bonding, you should have been willing to fall in with whatever I wanted. But you resisted, questioned. Manetheren blood was always stubborn. I mean, I want to believe Moiraine wouldn't compel Rand, but that's not far off. The finder isn't just about keeping track of where the boys are, it's also supposed to make them more willing to do what she wants. Compulsion doesn't become taboo until later in the series, so I think it's really interesting. Don't worry, I still love Moiraine, believe me. Speaking about Moraine's suspicions, how does Moiraine know that these boys are important? How does she know? I get the vibe from The Eye of the World that Moiraine definitely thinks the dragon is one of these three boys. I don't know how she gets there. When the Trollocs show up, that's pretty good evidence that there's someone important in this village, but that hasn't happened yet. New Spring tells the story of Moiraine starting her search for the Dragon Reborn. Robert Jordan wanted New Spring to be the first part of a trilogy. The latter two parts of the trilogy were going to go into Tam and the Aiel War, and also Moiraine and what led up to her coming to the Two Rivers. Tragically, Robert Jordan died before he got to write those books. There's a larger story about how Moiraine comes to the Two Rivers that we never got to hear. What makes Moiraine feel so strongly about Emond's Field as the home of the dragon? Is it just history? Is it something more? I'm not sure, but if you have any ideas, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. By the way, if you're like me and you need something to visually tide you over until the show comes out, I recommend checking out the Eye of the World graphic novels and the New Spring graphic novel. It's not the same as reading a Wheel of Time book, but the pictures are kind of fun to look at. I like them. Thank you everyone for your support. I can't wait for next week. These videos have been super fun. I can't wait until chapter 3, The Peddler. I've got things to say. Any thoughts you have on chapter 3, The Peddler, please email them to letsgetwheel@gmail.com or leave them in the comments so we can talk about it next week. Also, if you could like the video, subscribe, it's all greatly appreciated. Till next week, walk in the light and keep it wheel.